What's up, guys? On this week's show,
Hasta la vista, detention centers.
That wasn't funny.
And we are all clowns?
All that and more on this episode
of One Giant Leap for Geeks.
Cue the music.
That's one small step for man, one giant leap for
Geeks. Welcome to another episode of OGLFG, where we talk about movies, video games, and all things in geek culture. I'm your host, Mike C. Squared. And with me is my co-host, Benwah.
I did not steal Chris Jericho's AEW World Championship belt.
And DJ Melly Mel.
Hey!
Now, before we get started, I want to let you know, if you enjoy the show, tell some friends about us. Share us on your social media. Whatever you choose to do, just know that you're helping us let others know about the best damn podcast they probably never heard of. Now, if you want to talk to us, the show is on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. You can get a hold of our resident DJ Melly Mel at Froggy Beaver, and you can get a hold of Benwah at Benwah Gaming. That's BENWAH Gaming.
If you're like me and around my age, you're a sucker for nostalgia, especially 80s and 90s. I'm talking music, movies, television, games, just pop culture as a whole. So, if you're from mid-Michigan or going to be traveling to the area, I suggest you check out Rewind and Birch Run. Rewind is a vintage-inspired blast from the past with not just cool trinkets and novelty items, but dope gear to rock as well. I'm talking shirts, jackets, caps, and even sneakers. Retro styles to make your inner child smile. Absolutely, positively, definitely check out Rewind. You might even see your boy Benwah copping something old school or shooting the breeze with the owner, Tyler. Rewind is right off of I-75, exit 136 in the Birch Run Premium Outlets, Section E, next to Crocs.
What you been doing?
Jacking off count spiders. No.
Whoa! That was not.
T-Money always says that when he'll be sitting on the couch and
Jacking off what kind of spiders?
jacking off and counting spiders.
Oh, okay. All right.
I've never heard that before.
I know.
He says it
That's
all
new
the
to me.
fucking time.
That's Louisiana shit.
Yeah, it must be. No, what did I do this week? I continued to unpack my house.
Mm-hmm.
That has went pretty successfully. We've got about 85% unpacked, so
Good.
I'm excited about that.
Good.
Um,
You're making good progress.
yeah,
We've been here 2 years and we are still 85% unpacked.
you know, I did really well. So, especially with working 5 days a week.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, and I had people at the house all weekend.
Mhm.
We had my grandparents on Saturday, and then we had somebody else on Sunday, and then somebody else on Monday. And I was like, oh my God, there's just too many people. So I was apologizing. I was like, you know, we're trying to get everything unpacked, and T-Money's working 2 jobs, so I'm trying to get everything unpacked, and our
Right.
studio audience is getting herself unpacked, and I had to help her, and I was just like, we're making it, guys. We're making it. Maybe another week, and we'll be good.
Okay.
And I've also been boosting us to local radio personnel again.
Okay.
Different ones this time.
Okay.
Nate and April from the same channel.
Gotcha.
Actually, T-Money was promoting us, so we got to shout out to him whenever we see him next.
Thank you, T-Money.
He went, they were doing some kind of event in Saginaw, and he went waiting for me to get out of work.
Mhm.
And he was chatting us up, and I guess Nate and April are very proud of what we do, and they've listened to us a couple of times.
Nice.
And so now we have 2 new geek followers. I'll work on it. But anyway,
Yeah.
two
yeah.
new geek fans,
Mhm.
Nate and April from 102.5. So that's pretty exciting.
Okay. Nice.
So that's
nice.
3 radio personalities. And we've had a couple of guest stars. We're moving on up in the world.
Mm-hmm. I was gonna say, and then we can go be on Joe Rogan's podcast. And then
There you
then
go.
we'll be set.
Hey, all we need to do is nab Keanu. We'll be done.
I pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
Yep. I'd be all right with that. So what about you, Ben? What have you been doing?
Why'd you tell me to
Last
count
week,
Dracula for a second? I'm sorry.
Oh, God.
I'm sorry.
October's coming. I
Because
don't
the
know.
way she said, she's like,
I-
what
that
have
was
you
weird,
been
too.
doing?
I wasn't going to address that, but Mike, you did, so I feel better now. Anyway, last week, you know this, Mike. Mel, you may not be aware. I attempted to get my name put in the pages of the Guinness Book of World Records.
Yep.
Oh, for what?
How many times a person could shit in 2 days? I had a nasty stomach bug. It's true. I literally I left work because I wasn't feeling good last Wednesday, and I put in for some sick time Thursday because I needed to be ready for this Labor Day weekend. But it was bad. I'm pretty sure I was at least mildly hydrated, and I know I had some fever dreams because I dreamt that I was on the Oregon Trail and about to die of dysentery.
Holy shit.
Okay. Okay.
So shout out to everybody in Michigan who petitioned to have minimum wage increase and mandatory sick pay on a referendum. Mm-hmm. And fuck you, Michigan Republicans who passed legislation just to gut it in the lame duck session a month later.
Yep.
Also, one more thing. Mel, you mentioned that you had briefly spoken with McKinsey from 102.5, and now T-Money spoke to Nate in April and promoted us.
Correct.
I want to put this out there for anybody who happens to be local to us. We've not really totally said specifically where we are, but if you happen to be local to us and live in Saginaw or Genesee County, and you hit me up on social media, I will buy you a Slurpee.
Oh, look
or
at
a Speedy
you.
Freeze.
Your
hit
choice.
Me up, say you're a fan. Don't be crazy. And I'll totally hook you up.
Right.
Maybe we'll get together. We'll get a Slurpee.
Right. Don't try to
Real
kill
talk.
me and wear my face,
No, please don't. I mean, I have plenty of lotion. I put it on my skin. Don't put it on my skin for me.
Nice.
All right?
Oh, that's a deep cut. That was
All
good.
right.
Oh.
What about you, Mike? What you been up to, man?
Well, I talked about this, I believe, last week and a little bit, but now it is official. We have a new member of the One Giant Leap for Geeks family. Yeah. He won't be on the podcast, hopefully, but we got a dog.
You never know. He might.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yep. Got a little puppy. He is a golden doodle. He is more white than gold, but hey, what can you do?
He's got a cool name.
He is full-on saltine cracker.
Yeah, he is pale as a ghost. When we pulled up to the breeder, to meet them, to get him, I'm looking, I'm like, is that our dog? And she's like, yeah, that's him. I'm like, wouldn't he gold? Because in the pictures they showed us, I don't know if it was the way
they photoshopped it.
Right.
Yeah.
They put one of them Snapchat
Put them filters on it.
Golden filters on Snapchat.
Hell yeah. I'm like, he really wasn't even a golden doodle. It was like a fucking Rottweiler and shit, and they just put a Snapchat filter over him.
I totally saw him, and I was like, yep, that's definitely A-Train's dog.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yep. Oh, I love him to death, though. He's been a handful. We've only had him this will be day 4. So, he's really fresh to the family.
I would say that first week is always...
Yeah.
They're trying to feel you out. You're trying to feel them out. You're trying to just get adjusted and get trained, and you still got to go about your life and...
Yep. Yeah, today was his first day home alone.
Not cause them too much trauma. So.
Yeah, he didn't completely tear his bedroom apart. He didn't shit on the floor, pee or nothing, so that's a plus.
Hey, that's a big step right there.
I've drained my accounts trying to buy him shit, so he better be worth it, because I swear, I'm like, I made the joke. I'm like, he better stop somebody from breaking into our house, or if I fall in a well, he better go tell somebody to come get me or some shit. You better be worth this investment, goddammit. But you still gotta get shots, still gotta get neutered, flea baths, all that shit. So
you can take him to PetSmart and they'll do his nails for $10.
Oh, nice. See? Well, thanks. That's good to know.
Mm-hmm.
Other than that, though, yes, in his cool name, we went back and forth about it. I made the joke last week about wanting to name him T'Challa. That didn't happen. I wanted to name him Peter, because I love Spider-Man. That didn't happen. So we settled on Parker. So that is the dog's name is Parker. And he's probably going to end up being Spider-Man for Halloween every year. But anyway.
You can get him the original suit, and you can get him the suit with the golden arms that Tony makes, and then you can get
would, but I don't want to be reminded that he was ever in the MCU and had interactions with Tony Stark. I'm so angry still. Anyway, we're not going to go back down there.
I'll say don't go there.
That was last week.
Don't go there. Moving on.
But
go
the
go
very
forward.
last thing, though, is I actually went and had an epiphany. I had been watching videos about animes that you should watch or give another chance and yada yada yada. And I grew up, my first exposure to anime was Dragon Ball Z.
Sure.
Probably 90% of Americans that are into anime that grew up in the 90s or 2000s probably started watching Dragon Ball Z as their first anime, more than most likely.
Mm-hmm.
Either that or like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh! Maybe.
Yeah, Digimon maybe.
Yeah, but
Does that
probably it was
count?
DBZ.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Digimon. Yeah, that's totally anime.
Okay.
But any of the Mons, yeah,
Sure.
they're all anime. All the Mons. But not Jamaicans though. Not Yaman. Anyway, so I finally broke down and I started watching Dragon Ball Super. I am about 13, 14 episodes in, and it really gave me a good nostalgia trip. For anybody who don't know, who may be interested, Dragon Ball Super takes place after Dragon Ball Z, but not into the weird Dragon Ball GT shit that they did. So it's just like a whole other timeline, and they're just pretending like that other shit didn't happen. Kind of like the Halloween movie. It's Halloween, then the new one, and then all the other movies in between didn't happen.
Sounds good.
But no, I'm really enjoying it. I would love to get on Discord and have a watch party. So if anybody's interested in watching Dragon Ball Super with me, don't spoil shit, please, if you could. But you know, I'm down to watch it. Other than that, that was my week. All right, moving on.
You would think that with all this so-called exposure we're getting, that we'd actually, like, get paid for doing this.
A new final trailer for the Joker movie came out the other day, and it's coming out in October, so we're probably not going to get any more footage or anything like that from it. It's already premiered at Sundance, I believe, and from what I read, the movie, once it was over, got an 8-minute standing ovation from the audience.
Ugh.
It has a damn near 90%, maybe higher, on Rotten Tomatoes right now.
Ugh.
And you know, and they released the review embargo early, because usually it's like maybe a couple weeks or a week before the movie comes out. Mm-hmm. Sometimes they'll wait until like the day it comes out if they know it's going to be bad. But Warner Brothers is confident, so they released it like a month early. So reviews are.
I wonder if they're
going
to push the date.
No, it's probably going to come out when it's going to come out. I think they're just trying to build the hype train for it and just keep it going.
I want to chime in with a slight correction to you, Mike. It did not debut at Sundance. It was actually shown at the Venice
Film Festival. Thank you.
Yup, a few days ago, and it will be debuting in Toronto at the Film Festival on September 9th. So if you happen to be over in Ontario and you're going to go to that festival, you are going to get to see Joker a good month before the rest of us.
Yeah, we are in September now.
Yep. No, thank you for that.
Ugh.
And currently on Rotten Tomatoes, you were close. It was 90 before, but now it's gone down to about 86-87% last I checked. Still, critics are loving it.
Yeah, that's still definitely certified fresh for sure. So, now, Mel, you can just sit this one out, because I already know how you feel about this. You just mad, rubbing her face and shit, no.
if y'all could see the expressions that
Okay. I am more curious, because I know how you feel, because you are a Joker purist.
You and Ben can debate it out, and I will try to throw in my unbiased opinion at the end.
Sure, as unbiased as it can be.
Right.
But I'm curious to know, what did you think about this, Ben? Because I'm trying to remember when we watched that first one. Like, did this trailer do anything for you?
I mean, all it really did was make me look at Murray Franklin, Robert De Niro's character, as a dick. And it really seems like, granted, Joker is going to be a bad guy. He's going to be like an evil mastermind or just some kind of mad psychopath or nihilist. Mm. But they're really painting this as if he's not an anti-hero, but they're going to make him into a villain that we can relate to because we can understand his motivations. And I personally enjoy villains that I can see myself in, but at the same time, how bad can he be if I can have sympathy for him? So it's more a matter of, this seems to me like it's going to be more of a psychological thriller, maybe. Uh-huh. And that does interest me a bit. Because I'm more curious about what makes him tick than what he does.
I think you're on to the right path, because I got the same thing from this. I got it from that first trailer, but this one, they really laid it on thick that this version of the Joker is a victim of circumstance.
See, if that's all that it was a movie about a guy, victim of circumstance, you're going to get into the psyche of some crazy nut job, I'd be all for it.
Right.
All for it. Because
Sure.
that's my forte. I like that.
Sure.
The fact that they labeled it Joker.
Yes.
That is what irks me. Because this has potential to be really good.
Yeah.
If they just take out the Joker aspect.
I feel exactly where you're coming from. Like, honestly, you know how I feel about villains getting their own solo movie.
Right.
I was talking to some people on Twitter about this. I am personally of the mind that the villains are irrelevant if the hero is not involved.
Exactly.
The only reason that villains are cool is because they are a foil to the hero.
Right.
The hero comes first, then you get him an arch nemesis. You don't make the villain first, then make the hero. Like, the Joker is just... It's a cool concept in and of its own right. Just like, say, for example, like Loki or something like that.
Sure.
Like, he is cool in his own right, yes.
But you don't want a Loki movie.
Exactly. Well, we're getting a show, so...
Well, the show's different, though.
Sure.
Shows...
But Loki's kind of like a... He is almost a more anti-hero than Joker is.
Right,
Joker is like a serial mass-murdering psychopath who has no redemptive qualities at all.
Exactly.
And the fact that, like Benwah said, that they're trying to make him a sympathetic villain or someone that you can understand... When they did it with Thanos, I liked it better because I never agreed with what Thanos wanted to do,
right?
But I understood his motivations.
Sure.
His whole thing was, the reason I want to wipe out half the population is because there are not enough resources in this universe to support everyone. And if I wipe out half the population, the other half will have more than enough to survive. I can understand that. I don't agree with it. I think it's still crazy. Genocide is genocide, no matter what your justification is. But I understood what he was trying to achieve.
Well, they didn't...
With this, I'm like, I don't want to feel bad for the Joker.
I mean...
I never felt bad for Thanos. I understood him,
right.
but I don't feel for him.
There's a difference between the two.
Yeah.
And I think the way that Marvel did it with showing you just enough so that you can understand it and not holding your hand through it or kind of painting him in this image to where you feel bad for him.
Right.
Like, the understanding and feeling are two different things.
Yeah.
Like, you can feel something and not understand it.
Oh, yeah.
And also, you can understand something and not have to feel it.
Oh, yeah.
So, I think with Thanos, it was a nice balance.
Right.
This doesn't have that feeling.
No.
This is...
It feels like the whole world is coming down on him.
This is like, oh, you poor guy. And, it's... Society does this to people and this to people and this to people and this... Basically, this is the story of society as a bully, and then it's just picking on the little kid with the glasses in class.
Now that you say that, you know what this reminds... And I hope I don't offend anybody about this because I know there was just another mass shooting just the other day. But this feels like School Shooter the movie. Basically, like if you put this in contemporary times, like right now, and put him in high school... You could have made this whole story about some kid that was being bullied and had problems at home,
and he
that
goes
finally
crazy.
Snapped and killed a bunch of people. Like, I could totally see that. And it's like, I don't
need that in a Joker movie.
Yes. But I am going to say something that's going to surprise you, though.
Okay.
I actually like the trailer. Like, I like how he is being portrayed. Like, as far as his mannerisms and, like, his laugh, I think is really creepy. And like weird and the interesting thing about his laugh too.
It's kind of Cesar Romero-ish.
A little bit, yeah.
I think that's kind of what they were drawing some inspiration on. And
You could be right.
I mean, I can give props to that because of course he was the original Joker.
Yeah.
And just like there was nods attempted at Adam West in the Batman movies.
Right.
I get that, and that cool nostalgia is there. But I don't think that Cesar Romero's Joker would be successful in today's.
No.
Not
he
in the movies, not in the concepts, not in any of that. And so for them to go back to that Joker-esque era, I don't think it's going to be received well.
Well, that's the one thing, is that they keep showing. That's one thing I did notice in the trailer, though. Oh, about his laugh, real quick, before I forget. An interesting thing I found out, I was reading one of the reviews for the movie, and apparently they give a reason for why he laughs so much in the movie. Apparently, in the movie, he, and mild spoiler, I guess, so don't listen for a few seconds, he has some kind of condition where when he is in a stressful situation, he uncontrollably laughs.
That's a real thing.
So that's why he always does that laugh and then just kind of cuts it off at the end, where he's like walking out of the little place or whatever, and he's like in the hallway and he's like buttoning his shirt up. He's like, ah, ha, 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 and he just abruptly stops.
Right.
It's because he's not laughing because something's funny. He's laughing because he's under stress or he's nervous. Or
Sure.
It's Right, some anxiety triggered defense mechanism type shit. And I was like, that's kind of interesting. I don't necessarily think it was necessary to explain that. I always figured he laughed because he was fucking crazy. But again, I like what they're trying to do. And I've even said this. This movie will probably be good. I just don't think it's going to be a good Joker movie, because that is not, in my mind and in the minds of the writers and artists and other people who've portrayed that character over the decades, that is not who that character is.
Exactly.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And still, with the trailers, all we've ever seen is him getting hit in the face with his own sign, people beating him up on the subway. In this trailer, we saw, what did you say Robert De Niro's character's name was?
Murray Franklin, like making fun of him and shit, and you know, his mom being sick, she's probably gonna die, you know, and it's just like the whole everything in all the advertising.
Sassy black lady,
right? Is right. The lady on the bus, like, stop messing with my kid,
stop bothering my kid.
Which I was just like, that lady was a bitch. Like, I was like, if he does kill anybody, I hope she's the first one to go. But we see all this stuff in both trailers, but we've yet to see the Joker actually do anything.
Other than put a mask on.
Right. Like, we've not seen him hurt, kill, punch somebody. Like, everything is like the world's dumping on him, but we don't see any of his retaliation. Now, I'm sure it's going to be in the movie.
Sure.
But it's like, that's what my problem is. It's like, you keep trying to make him seem like the victim, and I'm like, okay, but what is he doing? Like, why isn't he being proactive as a character?
Right.
Like,
you might not. Well, one, you probably don't want to really give that away in the trailer, because that's going to be one of the big scenes.
Sure.
But two, I like the idea of him only walking through the chaos. That is quite apparent. He's probably, through some old twisted working of his own, manipulated. So he himself doesn't actually have to necessarily fight back or stand up against his world that bullies him, but he can be behind the scenes and he can get a laugh out of everything that he's orchestrated. Like, that's why I think it's really going to be psychological. There's going to be a lot of manipulation going on, and that's what I want to see. I don't want the Joker that'll put a gun to your face and pull the trigger. I want to see a Joker that's behind the scenes and only comes out when all the chaos already happened. Like, that's what I want to see in my Joker.
Right.
That aspect,
but I don't want to see
of
that
it,
in the trailer, because that's going to give away too much of the film.
Sure.
That aspect of it I'm okay with. Because Joker's always been maniacal.
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, he'd play those mind games. And
yeah, he's always like setting up different factions against each other.
And you know, you can see that in different, like, you saw it in Gotham. You could see it in the animated cartoons with Mark Hamill.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
You know, it's there. And that's cool. That's the one thing that I don't think has really been... I mean, it's kind of been tapped in, like I said, a little bit on Gotham, the animated series.
Sure.
You know, 89 Batman kind of touched on it.
Kind of, yeah.
Like, very small.
Yeah.
But that is a cool part. That would make a good Joker movie.
And that's what it seems like they're doing in this, because you see him on the subway and, like, all those people wearing a clown mask or, like, tackling the police. And, like, there's a shot of people, like, protesting. They're holding up the sign, "We are all clowns." And so it feels like he is... You know what? And honestly, it wouldn't surprise me if they do this, just because of how politically charged the nation is right now.
Sure.
I believe that they're going to take, like, a... And I could be overstepping my bounds here, because I had all these theories about Us, and I was wrong about all that shit. But this is my theory.
You were way wrong about all of them.
I was way wrong about that. But I feel like he is going to be like a grassroots, like far right Tea Party type movement thing, to where it's like, oh, you know, we're gonna overthrow the establishment and like all the elites and all this other kind of shit, like it, because his whole thing is like, as far as the only conflict that I know of is that he doesn't like Thomas Wayne,
Right.
because he's the mayor, I think, and he's rich and affluent and all that, and he feels like he's, you know, taking advantage of the city or something like that, because the city really feels like a 1980s New York, like back in when New York was like, you don't fucking go to New York unless you want to get shot type shit. Like, New York ain't nothing like that now, but, you know, back in the day, it was pretty rough.
Right.
And so it seems like there's like a lot of police corruption and politicians that are corrupted, and it feels like he's going to be like a response. He's going to be the Trump of this universe. I swear to God, that is what I feel like that his role is going to be. I mean, but do you see where I'm coming from now?
I do, and I was with you up until you said it.
because think about it. Instead of red MAGA hats, they all got clown masks on. He even sees a guy in a taxi wearing a clown mask, and it makes him smile, because he's like, in the voiceover, he's saying like, oh, you know, I always thought that I didn't exist, but now I know that I do, and other people will notice me now, and like he's got like a following starting to grow and shit, and he's gonna use that to, like, you know, leverage against, you know, the establishment. That's at least what I'm getting from it.
I mean, they kind of did that in Gotham, and then they also kind of did that in The Dark Knight. So
yeah, a little bit. A little bit. More so in The Dark Knight Rises with Bane. When like, this is your city and all that shit. Yeah.
So I feel like they're kind of drawing from that to build this chaotic, behind-the-scenes kind of Joker. I don't know.
Like, honestly, if they chant anything that even sounds remotely close to lock her up, like at the protest thing, at Thomas Wayne's thing, if they chant anything that even sounds close, I'm putting money on it right now. I got $5 on this shit. I will owe y'all $5 apiece, but I got money down that they are going to draw a lot of parallels to the right and or Trump in this movie. Like, the more I talk about it, I'm like, that's totally what they're gonna do. That's it only makes sense. Like, why? What else would you do? Because every Batman movie, to some degree or another, has some kind of political message in it, even if it's like slight. Not so much the Tim Burton movies, but definitely the Christopher Nolan ones and shit. Because like The Dark Knight Rises was all about Occupy Wall Street. Like that whole movie was basically Occupy Wall Street, the movie with Batman in it. But I'm really interested to see like what they're gonna do with this.
I wish that they would get away from that, honestly.
Yeah.
Like, because they don't necessarily do that with the Marvel movies.
Not specifically. It's not straight on the nose like that.
They kind of tap around it.
Yeah, like you can, if you try and think about it for more than like 2 seconds, you will be like, oh, that's a reference to some political thing.
Sure.
But no, Marvel's not as blatant as DC is
and
about it.
DC does it quite a bit, oddly enough, with just Batman.
Yeah, what political message you telling with the Flash or some shit though? You know what I'm saying? Like what Green Lantern?
But for a while now, most of the Batman movies recent, 12 years or so,
right?
They have some kind of crazy political message.
Yeah.
And look at where we've evolved the last 12 years or so politically. I really wish that they would just.
So you're saying we got to blame Trump or Batman for Trump? Is that what we're getting
I just wish that they would take Batman and maybe not put him back in the Tim Burton universe.
Nah.
But I would like him to be in that, you know, it's a make-believe universe kind of thing.
Yeah.
I want him to be...
Oh, you want him to be realistic, but you don't want to put him in the real world.
Right.
Yes. No,
right.
I get it. I get what you're saying. You don't want it to be fucking Adam West or Joel Schumacher Batman, but you don't necessarily need him to be fucking trying to fight fucking like campaign donations and shit.
Yeah.
I don't need him to be all caught up in all that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I just want it to be just a comic book movie.
I got you.
I think that if Warner Brothers and DC can figure out how to make Batman and, you know, Joker, villains, whatever, just a comic book movie again, I think it would be, that's it. Would be golden.
I'm with you.
I think Marvel has that
Yeah.
Marvel has that down pack. Like, they can just make a comic book movie and be good.
It can be in this crazy ass fantastical world, but the characters still feel like real people.
Exactly.
With real problems.
Exactly.
But it's not like we're dealing with, like, the closest Marvel ever got to doing something like that politically was when they did Civil War, and it's like, you know, y'all are vigilantes, like, there has to be accountability.
Right.
You know, you have to be under some kind of governing body. You can't just be out here.
They even did it well, though.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, but then by the end, it wasn't even about the Accords or nothing like that. It became a personal story between Tony and Steve. So, anyway, we're getting sidetracked.
No. I'm tying it back together.
No, I know.
Like, I think that if they could have taken that model and they could have applied it to Joker, I would be like, take my money now. I would not be in such...
You wouldn't. Don't lie.
I would.
No,
I think I would. I would not be in such discomfort about this movie.
I know you. You are a Joker purist. You want bleached skin, none of that makeup bullshit. You want no backstory.
No. I like a backstory.
But traditionally, he doesn't have one, though. That was what the whole cool thing was about the Dark Knight. It was... He kept telling different ones, and it was like, okay, are any of these real? Did any of this shit actually happen? Because he keeps changing his story each time. So it's like you always a mystery. Like, he just came out of thin air. He's like a deity. Like, he just is.
He just appeared.
Yeah, it's like there is no reason for it. That's what I always thought would make him so cool. He doesn't have a motive. You can't negotiate with him. You can't offer him money or bribe him with some physical material thing. He just wants to watch the world burn. So that's what I get. I don't want to be like, oh, his mom had cancer and he was bullied in the 8th grade and somebody stole his money on the subway. Like, I don't need all that. I just need him to just be.
Yeah.
Like that's it. But anyway, the movie comes out in October. No, go ahead.
That's what I was going to kind of chime in with. I don't think this is necessarily going to be any more of a social commentary than, minute bullying. I'm thinking it's going to be a matter of a human being whom we relate to in the beginning loses his goddamn mind, causes a whole bunch of chaos, and at some point they're going to try to reintroduce humanity into him and realize that he started something that he himself can't stop, and that's what fully puts him over the edge. Because this is a story about him, how he came to be.
Right.
At some point, he's going to snap, but that first snap isn't going to be the first snap. That first snap is going to be like the spark that lights the flame of all the chaos, and then he himself will become encompassed in said chaos, to the point where we can no longer, as individuals on the outside, relate to him. And then that would be like the ultimate nihilistic antagonist for the story.
You actually have a really good point there, because I can see that. Like, it grows bigger than him, and then he just like becomes the movement as opposed to.
It's gonna snowball.
I can see that.
And I don't think it's a matter of, let's go against Thomas Wayne. He's the man. He's the oppressor because he has the money. No, I think it's just a matter of nobody thought I existed. Now I see all these clowns. The truth comes out in chaos. Yada, yada, yada. Things that might make sense philosophically.
Right.
Until he eventually gets to that point where he begins to contradict himself and you can no longer keep track of him. And you can no longer understand if he can keep track of himself. Because like you said, Joker never really had a big backstory in the beginning. He was just somebody who always flipped the script. Whenever you thought you had the answer, he changed the questions. But the thing is, you never truly know how much the Joker was in control of anything. Because it's almost gotten to the point where he's come up with so many different stories for himself, he can't even keep track of what he's doing. And that's what made him such a compelling bad guy. You had no way to relate to him because anything that you came up with that you thought was some kind of chain between you and him could all just be fallacious bullshit.
You're absolutely right. And a lot of times it was like you go down this path and then it's like, oh no, he made part of that shit up.
Mind you, this is just like wishful thinking, but I'm talking myself into wanting to see the film simply for the fact that I want to see how he breaks down.
Yeah.
So you gonna come see this one with us, Ben?
Is it a tax write-off because it's for the work? Oh, wait, we don't make money doing this.
I'm going to say work. This is a hobby, sir.
The only movie I really planned on seeing anytime soon was going to be Tom Hanks playing Mr. Rogers. But I do want to see this.
Yeah,
and it will be released out for all of us to see on October 4th.
Nice. So, I mean, right before we go off of this, though, I want to know. Let's. What are the odds? What are you thinking? will he die by the end of this movie, or do you think that he'll live by the end?
Nah, he's gonna live.
So we got live. I'm saying dead. What do you think, Ben?
Fake death. Or
Ooh, okay.
you don't know. Ambiguous ending or fake death.
Okay. Because they keep saying this is a one-off, but I'm telling you, if this movie makes money and gets critical praise, they gonna make another one. These motherfuckers already talking about they finna, like, oh, his name gonna be in the running for an Oscar after this. And I'm just like, okay, are we just gonna give Oscars to everybody who plays the Joker now? Well, Jared Leto, he definitely ain't getting one. But we gave one to Heath Ledger for doing it, and now it's like, oh, Joaquin Phoenix, this is his Oscar role. I'm like, really? Because he's been in a lot of other movies.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like, if he doesn't have an Oscar now, the fact that he didn't get one for being in The Master, which was like that Scientology movie, he should have got one for that. Or he should have got one for playing Caesar in Gladiator. Like, I would have gave him an Oscar for that before fucking Joker, but
So
whatever.
how do they hand out Oscars? Like, I've never actually watched
There's
any.
a dude in the parking lot, and he got his trunk open.
I've
and
never
his stuff-
actually watched any of the award shows, so I don't.
There's an academy.
I don't
It's
really
a
know
bunch
how they
of
work.
Industry insiders
Yep.
just circle jerking. That's pretty
Oh,
much
okay.
the Oscars.
Gotcha.
Pretty much, yeah.
That-
And a lot of times, they don't have the time to nor the want to watch half of the movies. So they're just like, well, what do people say is good? Okay, I'm voting for that.
Okay.
Like, they've come out and
So
said,
it's like,
they don't even
just
watch
a
half the shit.
panel, and they just kind of vote for it.
Pretty much, yeah.
Be like, let's draw a name out of a hat.
Yeah.
All right, you get an Oscar. You get an Oscar.
Yep. And I'm just gonna be salty because I'm like, if we get 2 Oscars for Joker portrayals, but Black Panther couldn't get a Best Picture Oscar, I'm calling bullshit. But I'm just putting it out there. I'm just saying. Anyway, moving on.
I hope Joaquin Phoenix not only wins an Oscar, but I hope the movie wins Best Picture as well. But your thoughts?
Welcome to Benwah's Wabbit Hole. It's where I, Benwah, give you a brief synopsis of the random things I found interesting on the internet. Some of these things may be further elaborated on in future podcasts, but I'd recommend you dig deeper for yourself if you're interested.
The views and opinions expressed in the Wabbit Hole are those of Benwah's and Benwah's alone, and do not necessarily reflect the position of any member, affiliate, or future sponsor, despite us not having any, of the One Giant Leap for Geeks podcast.
Funimation, who does English dub work for Dragon Ball Z, is facing some controversy as leaked recordings from voice actors showcase a plethora of potentially offensive jokes, including those of a homophobic and incestuous nature, while in character. These recordings were supposedly simple warm-up sessions for the voice actors. Released initially by Nick Rakita, he says that the jokes are a violation of Funimation's work guidelines. This is all happening whilst Funimation is in preparation for a defense against former voice actor Vic Mignogna, who claimed sexual misconduct back in early 2019. According to Game Rant, the released audio has angered Japanese voice actors. According to YouTube commenters, this garbage fire's hilarious. Louisville Lady Bird Elizabeth Scott channeled Marsha Brady Monday as she took a football to the face. Notre Dame quarterback Ian Book, in his wisdom, threw it away instead of taking the loss of yards, but unfortunately for the cheerleader, she did not see it coming. Pom-poms immediately dropped to the ground as she covered the newly broken nose. Fortunately, she has a sense of humor and took to Twitter to see the incomplete pass briefly trending. Hopefully the rest of the Cardinals have a sense of humor about that 35-17 loss in their season opener. At this year's gathering of the Juggalos, Adam Batten is suing both the Gathering and Lawrence County Recreation Park after claims of being knocked off his motorized bike by a legless juggalo driving a golf cart. According to the suit, Alexander Les Legs Perkins was operating the vehicle clearly under the influence and using a baseball bat to press the pedals. Perkins told TMZ that motorized vehicles are banned at the festival, but he was granted special permission given his disability. Perkins denies having crashed into Batten, but rather says it's the other way around, having suffered injury after being flung out of his golf cart after Batten crashed into him. Whoop whoop! St. Edward's Catholic School in Nashville, Tennessee banned the Harry Potter series as Reverend Dan Rehill believes they include magic spells which can conjure evil spirits. Rehill was recommended to do so after contacting exorcists in the U.S. and Rome. Superintendent of Schools for the Catholic Diocese of Nashville, Rebecca Hamill, confirmed emails were indeed sent to parents of children attending the school. Now, the Catholic Church does not have an official position on the Harry Potter series, but each pastor has the authority to make decisions for their own parish, so Rehill is well within his authority to ban the series.
And now for some random thoughts from Benwah.
There's a teenager named Anthony on some React channel videos who looks like C. Thomas Howell in blackface. I cannot unsee that. If playing slots and pachinko is not gambling, then I'm a sexually active virgin. Joey Janela taking another shot at Jim Cornette with the tennis racket gag at the AEW pay-per-view almost has me thinking that this is now just a work. To all those who've suffered from the recent mass shootings, fires, and Hurricane Dorian, you deserve better. I'm sorry. President Trump recently tweeted that Fox News isn't working for us anymore. I wish he would elaborate on that tweet, though I know he's only referring to his people, his supporters. But I do wonder, from his perspective, why he thinks a supposed news organization works for him and his people. They're supposed to be an independent, factual, and objective source of news, but let's be honest, Fox News being fair and balanced is objectively false, but I digress. Not Fox News nor any organization should work for him, his causes, or anybody else. And for a man who has perpetuated the idea of a deep state, his tweets and remarks about a news organization working for the president and his supporters ought to raise a red flag, but it won't. And having said this, I know it's pointless because the Kool-Aid is just too sweet. So real talk, I did not know Trump had a daughter named Tiffany. I thought it was just Ivanka and his 3 sons. And that's all I'm going to say about that.
And now back to your regularly scheduled podcast. Am I having deja vu? Didn't we already do the whole banning Harry Potter books thing? It's not even relevant to pop culture anymore, and we're still arguing about this.
I have to say, I never liked Dave Chappelle until the Chappelle Show came out. I do not like Half Baked. I don't like his part in Undercover Brother.
No.
Or anything else Dave's been in. Like, his early comedy, I don't even think I've seen any of his earlier specials before the Chappelle Show.
One movie.
Okay.
Con Air.
Didn't like him in that either.
It was the only thing I liked him in. And that's because he plays that crackhead part really well. And what was he in Con Air? He was crackhead.
Yeah.
So that's the one part that I've ever liked Dave Chappelle. Now, I've seen this Chappelle Show early episodes. Some, relatively funny.
Sure.
But not much.
Well, before the Chappelle Show, didn't care for him, didn't really know a whole much about him. I just knew that I never thought he was funny.
Sure.
And once Chappelle Show came out, I fell in love with Dave Chappelle. Like, I owned all 3 seasons on DVD. Technically, there's a 4th season, but we don't talk about that. Or no, technically there's a 3rd season, but we don't talk about that, right? Is it the 3rd one that he didn't finish? Or the 4th one? Might have been the 4th.
Probably the 4th.
Either way, regardless of the point, I fell in love with Dave Chappelle after the Chappelle Show came out, and then every special he did after that, I was all over it. Like, anytime, even if it was like little small gigs, if I could find something on YouTube about it, I would totally watch it. Like, I was all about Dave Chappelle. I think he is like highly, highly underrated. People like Kevin Hart, which he loves Kevin Hart, but people like Kevin Hart who get like selling out Madison Square Garden and shit like that for his comedy shows. I feel like Dave is much more poignant and hits harder truths and shit like that way more than Kevin Hart ever do. Yeah, Kevin Hart might be funny, but it's like he making jokes about, oh, my kids, or I stepped in some dog shit or something like that. Like, he don't make like poignant jokes about society and people and how we interact with each other. I'm sorry. Shoot me. But I prefer Dave much more. Now, that being
Shots
said,
fired.
I know.
Damn.
I know. That being said, though, he said he's always played the line of being super controversial. Like
Sure.
the Chappelle show was super controversial when
Sure.
it came out. Like I have never seen anybody come on TV and not be like premium TV and drop the N-bomb as much as he did. He had a whole skit about a black man that was blind that thought he was a white supremacist. Like, I mean, just like crazy shit like that. Like, and even then it was very like, you know, like this is like too hot for TV kind of shit. That's kind of what the draw to Chappelle show was, because you knew if you tuned into that, he was going to say some crazy shit. I mean, he had a whole...
like Richard Pryor back in the day.
Exactly. He had a whole bit about being... If President Bush was black, how things would have turned out with the Iraq War and all this other kind of shit. Like, I mean, just crazy shit. And so he's never been one to shy away from controversy.
Right.
So in this special, which is called Sticks and Stones, his newest Netflix special... He went like all in, like, I mean, all in on like controversy and being, I mean, honestly, I felt like he was going out of his way to try to offend somebody. Like, I get, because he even addresses it in this special that, you know, people are too sensitive, or some of the stuff he's going to say are going to make people mad, and this and the other. They can't take jokes no more. Everybody's all about cancel culture and all this shit. Because he says the thing about like, he has, he was doing an impersonation.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, who is this? And he's like, oh, he was like, if you ever did anything in your life, whether it be 5 years ago or 20 years ago, and I find out about it, you're finished, man. We're going to take you down, this, that, and the other. And he's like, who is that? And people were like, everybody was like, Trump. And he was like, no, that's you. That's the audience. He was like, y'all are the worst people, you know, I've ever had to like try to entertain in my life, because everybody's all about cancel culture now. So I get it. But at the same time, watching it, me and A-Train are just like looking at each other, and I'm like, I'm laughing, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know why you felt like you needed to say these things.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of other people who felt the same way.
T-Money and the studio audience and I watched it last night.
Uh-huh.
And we made it through 25 minutes.
Okay.
Like, the three of us just kind of looked at each other, and there was a couple of things that we chuckled at a little bit.
Sure.
And we just kept looking at each other, and we're like, okay, it's got to get better. When I watch a comedy skit or a comedy special, especially on Netflix,
Sure.
I want to be doubled over laughing my ass off so that my insides hurt.
Sure.
That's the whole point.
Sure.
I know that he was trying to purposely be like, oh yeah, y'all can't take a joke, and you can't do this, and you can't do that. There are some questionable things that I will laugh at because they're funny.
Sure.
I think he went way too far.
Yeah.
And like I said, the three of us had to choke through 25 minutes of that. And it's actually funny because we turned him off and watched the Kevin Hart special. So
something lighter.
Yeah, we did. We for real, we did. We shut off Chappelle and we put on Kevin Hart. Just because three of us were like, yeah, I feel like not necessarily violated, but like I needed to go shower. I was like, this is bad. Like bad.
So to give you guys some insight, if you haven't seen this yet, one of the jokes that he tells during this special is he talks about the Michael Jackson documentary that had recently come out and about the child molestation accusations and stuff like that. And he basically says that he doesn't believe the accusers, and he says that even if it did happen, he was like, they shouldn't be mad about it
because it was Michael Jackson.
Exactly. He says, I quote, I know more than half the people in this room have been molested in their lives, but it wasn't no goddamn Michael Jackson. He said, was it? He's like, this kid got his dick sucked by the king of pop. All we got is an awkward Thanksgiving for the rest of our lives. And like, I still laugh at that now because it's so, it's funny in the way where it's so like absurd that you would say something like that. But at the same time, if you have ever been the victim of child molestation, or, you know, if Michael Jackson really did molest these kids and you were one of his victims, which the people who were in the documentary came out and was like, you know, like, we're like heartbroken that he would like make light of this and, you know, make these kind of jokes. And be so nonchalant about it. Like, oh, he's dead. What does it matter? It was a king of pop. You got a free trip to Disneyland or some bullshit, like whatever. And it's like, yeah, but he violated our childhood.
Right.
Now, I don't know what happened. We'll never fucking know, but it's one of those things where it's like, well, you know, he did joke about R. Kelly peeing on that girl in the sex tape on the Chappelle show, and nobody got mad at that. And he made jokes about OJ killing people and getting away with it, and nobody got mad about that. So it's kind of hypocritical to be like, oh, we mad now because it's Michael Jackson. Maybe because some time has passed between those things.
Maybe. But he makes talking about the Michael Jackson joke, he makes a joke about R. Kelly right after that.
Yep.
And he's like, now that
R. Kelly did that shit.
He's like, R. Kelly did that shit. And I think that,
Now, I've not heard any of the jokes from this special. I have not watched it, but I'm going to chime in here.
Okay.
When it comes to comedy. Now, granted, I am no scholar, but let's put it this way. It's one thing to make fun of the people who've done something. It's another to make jokes in light of the victims
you're absolutely
who've had
right.
something done to them. There's a difference between making fun of R. Kelly for pissing on somebody, making fun of OJ for getting away with killing somebody. It's not the same as making fun of somebody who got molested simply because of who they were molested by. You can't make fun of victims in this sense without offending somebody. You can make fun of the people who've done the atrocious acts. It's similar to how Mel Brooks, who is a Jew, always used to make fun of Hitler by making these outlandish things about Hitler being so flamboyant. A lot of Jews got offended by that and said, how can you turn on your people by bringing up Hitler? But he's like, I'm making fun of the bad guy to diminish what he's done and his positive effect on people that admire him.
Gabriel Iglesias.
That's why I'm making fun of him.
Yeah,
but
Gabriel Iglesias kind of does the
Jews.
same thing. He makes fun of himself and his friends for things that they do that may or may not, you know, be
like stereotypical
Mexican stuff.
Yeah.
And he's okay with that. It's, you know, it's like...
because it's more self-deprecating.
Yeah. He's including himself in that, and he's like, hey, look, I'm so stereotypical that I can work myself into a joke.
Any group does that. Like, you know, like white people will make jokes about, like, oh, white people so white, you know, or like black people so black, you know what I'm saying? So that's usually okay. But I agree with what Benwah said, that once you start attacking, not necessarily attacking, but like poking fun at or trying to make light of the victims or people who have been victimized, then you start going into territory where it's like, okay, what are you trying to achieve here?
And Chappelle actually, Ben, in this stand-up, he says, I am somebody who I victim blame.
Yep.
He's like, I ask, what were those children wearing? He's like, I
feel so bad for still laughing at it, but it's so fucking crazy that he would even say that. I'm just like, oh my God. What was them kids wearing that day?
What else did he say? He victim blames.
No, okay, so he tells a joke about Louis C.K. And about how he likes and respects that man and this, that, and the other. And he was like, and what? And we didn't ruin his career because what? Because he pulled his dick out and jacked off in front of some bitches or some shit. And he was like, he didn't hurt nobody. He was like, I dare you to try to call 911 for somebody that pulled the dick out and jacking off on him. He was like, that after a man has just came on his own stomach, he is the most non-threatening thing you will ever see in your life, because he's just laying there with just shame and cum all over him. And I was like, again, that's funny, but at the same time, it's like, it would have been funny to just made fun of Louis C.K. and not then turn on the victims. Right. Because then, like you said, he just straight up starts going after victims. And it's like, why?
Yeah, like I said, the three of us choked through 25 minutes of that, and we just kept looking at each other. We're like, okay, this is not funny.
Yeah. Well, and then he also goes after the LGBTQ community.
Yeah,
trans people.
And you know, that's a group of people, both jokes, actually. Both groups touch a group of people that we, the three of us, are very close, close to.
Oh, yeah.
And it really rubbed us the wrong way.
I
totally know that was the intent.
Right. Well, yeah. The intent was to be funny, but
at the
same time, he was trying to ruffle feathers for sure. So the one of the jokes in question is he talks about how trans people hate my fucking guts, and I don't blame them. He says I can't stop writing jokes about these niggas. He says because then he talks about like specifically trans people, and he's like talking about like not wanting to use like preferred like pronouns and stuff like that. And then he goes like he was like, that'd be like me, Dave Chappelle, a black man, you know, going and doing shit to his Asian wife and like making like that like racist like Chinese face where like you squint your eyes and you talk with like big teeth and shit. And he was like and he's like, and then people would tell me like, oh, you can't do that, you can't act like that. And then he says, well, that's how I feel on the inside. And I get what he was trying to do.
His delivery was just very, very far off.
But honestly, a lot of his content felt like he has been like maybe wrapped up in like this whole right-wing talking points. Because a lot of it felt like some shit that like a Ben Shapiro or Dave Rubin or something like that would say like, oh, well, you know, you're always biologically going to be a man and I shouldn't have to refer to you as a woman. And it's not about how you feel on the inside. It's about, you know, your genetic makeup and yada, yada, yada. And it's like, a lot of them felt like a lot of right-wing talking points. And I was like, I don't know what his political stance is. I'm going to assume Dave is left-leaning, but a lot of his jokes felt like some right-wing person wrote them for him. Mm-hmm. And I was really fascinated by that. Because he talks about the opioid crisis. And about how, you know, these white people and white families are being destroyed because of this and yada, yada, yada.
Oh, so we didn't make it that far.
Okay. And he talks about how he related that to the crack epidemic in the 90s with the black community. And he's like, and now I know how the white community felt when they were watching us go through the travesty of the crack epidemic. He's like, I don't care either. It's so basically saying like white people didn't care when black people were strung out on crack. And so he don't care about white people, you know, being strung out on opioids and heroin and shit. And I was like, yeah,
I want to hear how we delivered that.
Like I said, he had some legitimate good jokes in there. He talks about how he lives in Ohio and there's like crackheads and shit all over the place, and how like one ran up on him one time and was like, "Hey man," he's like, "I'm sorry man, I'm just sick man, I need some drugs man." He's like, "Come on, I'll suck your dick for $5 man." And he's like, $2. So it was jokes like that made me just like crack the fuck up, because I was like, I could see him saying that, like, I won't let you suck my dick for $5, but I'll give you $2 if you want to suck my dick. But it was stuff like that. But then he would always veer off into this shit where it was like he was going out of his way to just really hammer home something that he just knew would just upset and offend people. And the reason I wanted to talk about this is because it made me think about our podcast. Mm-hmm. It made me think about us in general.
Okay.
And some of the things that we've said and done on the podcast. And I don't think that we've ever crossed into territory that would be quite as offensive and or, you know, like controversial as what he did. But it did make me want to ask you guys, like, what is comedy to you? Like, what do you define as appropriate comedy? Is there any lines that you can't cross? Are there some subjects that shouldn't be talked about? Because clearly pedophilia jokes are controversial, rape jokes are controversial, racial jokes are controversial, but people do it all the time.
Right.
So it's like, when is it too much, and is there ever an appropriate time to make fun of kids being molested? I guess is what I'm trying to ask.
As far as the molestation jokes, I don't think that's ever appropriate. Okay. When you start bringing your kids into it as far as them being violated,
sure,
that's never a thing.
I would challenge that though, real quick, because there's always that joke you see in movies and people say it, you know, in real life and stuff, but something will happen and then they'll be like, show me on the dial where they touched you. That's a common joke, and that's making fun of being molested. But no one ever goes like, I can't believe you would, you know. That's why I'm curious, like, when is it too much? Because you can dabble in it a little bit, but there does come a cutoff point where then now people are mad at you.
Yeah, it's that weird gray area. I don't know. Kids are a tricky subject.
Yeah.
Like, when we were watching the Kevin Hart special, he was like making fun of his kids hardcore.
Oh yeah,
because his first thing, he comes out and he's like, "Yeah, I fucked up. My kids caught me having sex." Like, that's like the first thing that he talks about. It's I don't know. It's gray. It's very gray.
Sure.
And I don't know if it's one of those things that you can define beforehand.
So it's like somebody has to go there before you can go like, okay, that was too much.
Yeah. I think it's like something you have to ask for forgiveness afterwards as opposed to permission to before.
Okay. Now, I want to know too, and then I want to get Benwah's take on this. Is there a hard line? Is there just like okay, from here going forward, no? Like, is there like a cutoff, a definitive, like you can't joke about X?
Yeah, I think so.
What would that be for you?
Okay. One, there is no hard line. 2, there is a hard line, but you don't know until you cross it. 3, I think that hard line, at least for me subjectively, is you can make a joke about child molestation up into the point where you're blaming the child for something traumatic that happened to them. That's going too far, because at that point you're not making a joke, you're making a statement. 4, Doug Stanhope kind of comes near the line with an old bit he had on a stand-up special, where it's not so much about the kids being molested, it's more about the parents overreacting to the thought that their kids might be molested. Because the bit was basically, and I'm paraphrasing this because this is from years ago and I'm trying to remember it, but it's like, he first sets up the joke by saying he's watched a lot of porn. He's searched a lot of weird porn all over the place. Never was he able to find child porn. Also, statistically speaking, what makes these parents think their children... statistically speaking, a lot of kids don't get it. So what makes these parents think their children are so goddamn special that somebody would intentionally want to molest their kid? No, it was hilarious, but not only was it hilarious because of the nature of it, but it was hilarious because it was based in fact. And I love when there's a bit of truth inside of my humor. That's why I love parody. That's why I love satire. That's why I loved a lot of the bits that were on the old Chappelle show. Because yes, he was making a joke at the expense of people or groups, which some people may say, well, he's made the jokes at the expense of people on the show. Why can't he make the jokes at the expense of people in the stand-up? It's because it goes back to what I said earlier. Mm-hmm. He was making fun of the bad guys. He was making fun of the people that did terrible things. There's a fine line between making fun of people who we already know as a collective and agree are bad or have done bad things. It's another when we go after groups who are already oppressed or the victims of something bad happening. And at that point, it's not funny. It's more just kicking the guy when he's down. And you really got to tread that line finally. And once again, it reverts back to my first point. 1, there's no hard line. 2, there is, but you don't know until you cross it.
I would agree with that. Now, knowing now what was said in the special or some of the things that were said, because I mean it's like an hour and some change, so I mean it's an
hour
lengthy
5
thing, yeah. And I'm curious, like, do you guys think, because there's already been some backlash about it, I don't think he's gonna get the cancel Dave Chappelle. People are gonna make petitions to Netflix to never let him do a stand-up special again. Like, Netflix don't give a shit. And even if they do, that's why every time I see them change.org petitions, I'm like, you do know that this is just a website, right? Like, this doesn't actually do anything, right? Like, it ain't like the president's going to see it and be like, God damn it, cancel Dave Chappelle. Like, no, like, it's just a thing.
Right.
It's honestly, it's a glorified message board to bitch. But anyway, I am curious, like, do you think that there is something to be learned from this, or would making these kind of jokes open up dialogue that you may not necessarily would want to have because it's such a sensitive topic? Or is this just kind of not necessarily pouring salt in the wounds per se, but just kind of backing people more into the corners that they were already in to begin with? Because like I said, a lot of the jokes that he were making felt like a lot of right-wing talking points that I've heard a lot. And I'm like, I don't know. Because he even makes a joke about, because at the very end, there's like an epilogue, and like he takes questions from the audience and stuff. And somebody says like, what are you going to do if Trump gets reelected? And he says, probably get a better tax break or something like that. And because he's rich, and because all the shit that Trump does, for the most part, benefits wealthy people. So, it's I don't know. I'm like, did he get converted? Like, is he gonna pop up on one of these like right-wing podcasts and be talking some crazy shit about fucking brain sizes and race differences and fucking, you know, whether or not people can use certain bathrooms? Like, I don't know. It just, a lot of this stuff that he brought up, I was just like, I'm like, this doesn't feel like your normal comedy.
No, I'm definitely with you on that. Like I said earlier, I want to be doubled over laughing.
Sure.
And yes, you can do that with dirty jokes, naughty jokes.
Sure.
You know, you can do that.
Those are some of my favorite jokes.
I mean, we run a podcast with a bunch of dick jokes. Lots of boob jokes. I mean, It's there. Mm-hmm. It's fine. It doesn't make you a bad human for laughing at those things. No. However, I just think that there are certain things that you shouldn't cross. And like victim blaming is definitely something that is not okay. Even when you try, you know, you talked about the doll and where the people touch you, that's more, it's not really blaming the victim.
Yeah, I guess it's just making fun of the situation.
Yeah, it's poking fun at the person that did the bad thing. Like what Ben said, you know, we're not cornering these people, you know, we're not cornering a specific group.
Right.
We're already established that somebody did something bad.
Right.
And we're trying to avenge the person who was victimized.
Okay.
So I think that once you start poking at the victim, that's a hard line.
Right. And
I'm sorry, Ben, but that's a hard line. And enough people have crossed that line that we should know that that's not okay. It's like same with domestic abuse. That's not a, you know, Richard Pryor crossed that line lots of times in the 80s.
Sure, yeah.
Eddie Murphy crossed that line lots of times in the 80s.
Yeah. It was, I mean, it was openly okay to make jokes about beating up your wife
and
your
it was in poor taste at the time, but it was funny.
Sure.
Nowadays, we have such a crisis in that area. You know, we have too many people that are beating on their wives. We have too many people that are beating on their children and their spouses. And now in our culture today, it's not okay.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, you can even go back and watch the old specials and you're like, damn, that was funny at the time, but now our times have changed and that's
I think I talked about that in Eddie Murphy's specials about how he dropped the F-bomb like 30 times during his stand-up special. Like, he even makes a joke about the outfit that he's wearing and talks about he don't want none of these F words looking at his ass while he's on the stage. So he's got to keep turning to keep him so they can only get a glimpse of it. With time, there are certain things that we look back on that we thought were okay culturally or as a society that nowadays it's like you can't say stuff like that.
And I don't think it has anything to do with us as a culture being too sensitive. Now, granted, there are some people that are way too sensitive.
Politically correct, snowflake.
But I just think we've evolved.
Yeah.
Like we've just changed.
And this ain't even my final form. So.
We've shifted, you know, we're learning things that we never paid attention to before. And we are acknowledging things that we never paid attention to before. And I don't, you know, some of that might make us bad in the sense like sensitive wise, like being overly sensitive at some point.
I would rather be overly sensitive than desensitized.
I would be too.
I feel like it's better to take kind of like that thing, measure twice, cut once. I would much rather be overly cautious than, you know, not be, and then I do something inadvertently or on purpose to hurt someone or make someone feel disenfranchised in some kind of way, because that's not my intention.
Right.
You know, especially like I said, I try to relate to podcasts. Like, we've made jokes about incels and people being, you know, too nerdy, or people being virgins and like kids doing stupid stuff. But it's never my intention is never to bash on anyone or make anyone feel uncomfortable or something like that. It's always to just make it to where, like, hey, because I know some people feel like nothing is off limits. Like, everything is up for grabs when it comes to comedy. And some people live by that. Like, some comedians are like, there is no line ever.
I think Dave Chappelle is one of those comedians.
Yeah. Or at least he's lately definitely been pushing that a lot harder than he has in the past. Do you guys think that he will learn something from this, or do you think that in his next special he's going to double down on it and go even harder?
Oh, I think he's going to double down.
You think so?
Just because that's the kind of person I think he is.
Yeah, me too. I feel like any kind of like pushback, he's just going to go even harder.
I think he's just going to be
direction.
like, all right, fuck you. Here we go.
Yep.
And, there are other comedians that do the same.
Yeah.
But I think he's one of the ones that really, really goes for that.
Yeah.
Like that shock and awe value.
Yeah. And I mean, and it worked though. I mean, look at people were talking about it. Dave Chappelle was like the #1 trending thing on Twitter when his special came out. So it's like, Sticks and Stones was trending really high. Mm-hmm. So it works.
Yeah, I didn't even have to search it hard on Netflix.
Oh yeah, it's like
I just typed in Dave, and it was like, bam, first one. I was like, okay, well, thanks government, appreciate that.
Now, Ben, what do you think? Do you think that Dave's going to double down on this, or do you think he's going to kind of withdraw some?
I have not seen this special. I don't really know all that much about the controversy except for what you've mentioned to me now. Whether I think he's going to come harder? No, not particularly. I mean, ever since Chappelle went on his hiatus over a decade ago when he just left the show, he only comes out sporadically. Who's to say this is all going to die down, we don't hear from him again in 3 more years, and there's something new? Like, knowing his track record, I don't think he's going to fucking go hard into paint with this. I think it will all die down, and then maybe in a few years, maybe he'll come back and do something else. Maybe he won't.
It's funny because he actually addressed that in the special, that was one of the reasons why he doesn't come out and do shows all like that, is because everybody's so sensitive and ready to, cancel somebody that he's like, somebody's going to bring up some shit that I said at some point, and then it's going to come back on me. So he's like, basically, I just do this when I want to do it. Like, I don't have to do this, but I don't do it as much as I probably would because of the backlash that I may get.
That doesn't mean that he's not going to, at the same time, you're very well right, Ben. I mean, who's heard anything about Dave Chappelle lately before the special?
Right.
Nobody.
Well, he had the one before that, but up until these Netflix specials started coming
That's what
out,
I mean.
He had kind of just went off the grid.
He had this Chappelle show, and then I think he was in a movie.
Yeah.
But he wasn't a main character. He was like a supporting role for like 5 seconds.
Well, be you a comedian, be you famous, be you anybody. If these are just jokes, run with it. If these are jokes based on your personal feelings or thoughts towards things, who the fuck cares if you get canceled? If they're true convictions, be a fucking man and say them anyway. Don't be like, oh, I don't want to get canceled. I don't want anybody to come after me. No, motherfucker, if you really believe the things, and I'm not saying this specifically to Chappelle, but if you have a thought, an opinion, and you have the means to put it out there, don't be ashamed. Don't be afraid of backlash. Whenever you go in the public eye with anything, you are thus bringing yourself up to be the subject of scrutiny. That how you act in the face of that scrutiny is what really determines your character your convictions and your beliefs. So, like, I don't like the cop out of, oh, well, I'm afraid someone's going to cancel me if I say what I think. Because at that point, you're making yourself the victim. Be out there, be truthful, be honest, and then just stand up for yourself. Don't just hide behind the fear of cancel culture. Because at that point, you're only feeding into this supposed narrative of cancel culture that you're claiming.
I kind of agree with you, Ben.
I can fight that shit
if you're going to say something and you're going to have the balls to say things like this, go out and say them. And then
stand behind it.
If you get canceled or whatever, like, that should never be your concern is, oh, I'm going to get canceled. Well, if you get canceled, then it happens. I mean, showbiz is constantly evolving. How many times have we cycled through people, either comedians, musicians, actors, whatever the case may be? If you're going to say these things, then say them. And then you're going to stand there and just be like, all right, well, you knew what kind of asshole I was before, so this,
he even says
I'm
that in
still the
special
same
too.
Asshole.
Yep, he's like, and before anybody get mad at me out here watching on Netflix, he's like, remember, you clicked on my face.
Right.
And I'm like, yeah, but at the same time, judging off your track record, that is not what a lot of people expected to see when they clicked on that thumbnail. So
I mean, if you're going to be out there and you're going to say it, cool.
Yeah.
And then don't Don't try to be, oh, well, I'm hurt and offended because you canceled me. You knew this going into it.
Yeah. And at the same time, oh, yeah.
He rich, though, too, right? He rich, he wealthy. He ain't got to do another motherfucking thing in his life. Then shut the fuck up.
Yeah, because it's like he don't need this
shit.
He's just doing it just because he just wants to do comedy.
Right.
And it last point before we get off of this. It fascinates me, why people get upset about cancel culture the way that they do, because I'm like, you can't say I should have the right to say X, Y, and Z, but then say, but you shouldn't have the right to say you don't want me to have the platform that I have to say these things.
Right.
It's like, it's got to go both ways.
I would say the freedom of speech thing doesn't go one way.
Exactly. You can't be like, well, I should have the right to say this and not have backlash. It don't work like that. You have the right to say these things and not get backlash from the government. Yeah, that's in the Constitution. That's freedom of speech. But we have just as much of a right to bitch and complain and shit like that. I mean, anything, like if you're a manager at a fucking Burger King and you talking shit to the customers, they have the right to go to the district manager or corporate and be like, fire this motherfucker.
Yeah.
So it's like, you can't really, just because you're a celebrity doesn't give you, like grounds to be like, hey, this is my livelihood. Yeah, people lose their jobs over disgruntled fucking consumers all the time. That's life.
You have the right to say what is ever on your mind. But you don't have the right to avoid the consequences of saying said action.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And that's the section of free speech that a lot of people don't realize. It's
like as long as you're not being arrested,
right,
for your speech, as long as you're not trying to incite violence or some shit, then everybody in the world has the right to criticize you and go to the people who support you and give you the means to say these things publicly and go to them and say like, hey, you shouldn't be supporting this shit. Look at what he's doing.
Right.
So it's like, it's a two-way street. Like, you got take the hits as you give them. Like, that's how they go. All that being said, though, if you haven't seen Sticks and Stones, and if anything that we talked about here interested you, I would say go check it out. Watch it on Netflix. I'm really curious to hear what you guys think, though. So wherever you're listening to this, in the comments, tell me, have you seen the special? Do you think he went too far? Not far enough? Did this turn you off to Dave? Like, well, I'm really curious to know what other people's thoughts are about this. And
just remember, you can share your thoughts, but you don't have to attack one another because of their thoughts.
Exactly. Yes. It's like, please be friendly.
You can disagree and still keep it civil.
Right. All right. Moving on.
If we can't make jokes about paedophilia, sexual harassment, and transgenders, then what else is there to joke about?
It's that time again for America's #1 show, Dumb Shit of the Week. That's right, Dumb Shit of the Week is the show where DJ Melly Mel finds dumb shit and we talk about it. Want your submission on the show? Find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks, so you can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. Now here's your host, DJ Melly Mel.
Thank you. All right, guys. So Dumb Shit of the Week kind of, I don't know, was brought to us last minute by our live studio audience, which is great. The title is going to make you laugh. It's a brief dump. Just let me get through it, okay?
Okay.
Strip club closed after food stamps is used to buy lap dances and drugs. I can't even make it through the damn title.
Oh, shit.
The Ohio Liquor Control Commission has revoked the liquor permit of Sharky's Bar, an adult entertainment establishment, effective of the close of business on Thursday, after investigators used food stamps to buy lap dance.
Oh, so it was like a sting operation? Like they went in?
Yeah, I think they had gotten...
What the fuck?
They got a tip that there was people using their food stamps to buy lap dances and drugs.
Right.
And so they sent in some undercovers.
Wow.
So the agent in charge, her name is Michelle, and she said that Agents began investigating the 2250 Inc., also known as Sharkies, in May of 2017. During this investigation, agents were able to purchase drugs and lap dances using their food stamp cards.
How much evidence did they need to gather for 2 years to get them to shut them down? It's like the first time that happened, they'd be like, I gave them food stamps, they gave me a lap dance. Closed. Like, I don't know what else they needed to get.
Agents reportedly exchanged $2,404.87 in food stamps. This was used to purchase heroin, fentanyl, carafentanyl, cocaine, meth, and lap dances.
Oh my God. Man, that is like the best one-stop shop strip club ever. Holy shit.
Criminal charges were filed against employees and the patrons for drug trafficking, food stamp trafficking, aggravated shipment and distribution of heroin, engaging in a pattern of corrupt activity, and illegal sexual activity.
God damn.
Agents also filed 44 charges that were heard by the Liquor Control Commission that included drug possession, drug sales, engaging in sexual activity, food stamp trafficking, and solicitation. This is the second adult entertainment established liquor permit that has been revoked by the Liquor Control Commission as a result of the Ohio Investigative Unit.
So was the other thing, or was that unrelated? It wasn't like another food stamp thing. It was just because they did a sting and they got them another thing shut down?
No, this is the second permit that has been revoked into food stamp and drug trafficking.
Damn.
In the Dayton area.
What is going on in Benwah? What is happening in Ohio? What the fuck is going on with these strip clubs?
The other location, the Harem, lost its liquor license.
Oh, okay.
Dayton.
In late 2018.
Wow.
So, Dayton.
All needs to be said. Dayton.
So let's
recap this here.
Okay.
You go to the strip club, and you ain't got no money.
Right.
But you really want some drugs.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to get a lap dance.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And or sexual favors, apparently.
Sure.
Could you imagine sucking a dick for food stamps?
No.
God damn. Okay, anyway.
No, I cannot.
Go ahead.
How, first of all, how would they even come up with this? Like, damn, I'm so broke. All I got's my food stamp card. What the fuck can I do with my food stamp card? Not go buy groceries, not make sure you got food in your house, not give them back if you don't need them, not sell them for, cash so I can get cigarettes or whatever. No, I'm going to take my food stamp card to the strippers and I'm going to bribe them with food stamps.
I am less concerned with the thought process and more concerned with the logistics, because I'm old enough to remember when food stamps were actual stamps,
yeah.
And they were paper, and there was like a book of them that you would get in the mail each month. How do you buy anything with food stamps on a card? It's like, do you give it to the stripper and somebody makes a run to the store and buys a bunch of shit?
Well,
is like the exchange rate like it used to be? Because I remember growing up when people would like give people food stamps for cash, it would be like $1 for every like $2 to $3, maybe like $1 for $5.
Yeah, I mean that's kind of how it goes. I know people who, not that I agree with it, nor is it me or anybody like in my immediate circle.
Giant Leap for Geeks does not condone selling food stamps for cash.
But I do.
Or heroin or lap dances.
I do know people who sell their food stamps. And what it is somebody will be like, oh, well, I got like $800. Mm-hmm. If you give me like...
How many fucking kids they got? They get $800 in food
I don't
stamps.
ask questions. The less I know, the better.
Okay, all right.
But they'll be like, yeah, I got like $800. So you can have 300 of that. You give me like $250, or you give me, no, usually the way that the girl explains it is...
It's never dollar for dollar.
No, it's usually double.
Yeah.
So if you give me $200, I'm going to give you $400 off my food stamp card.
Right.
So then she either hands over the card and then the girl goes and buys the groceries.
Sure.
Or the girl is given a list and...
they just buy the shit.
Yeah. She says, here, I want these things that equal $400, and then the lady gives her the food.
So that strip club had to been like a one-stop shop. Motherfuckers bringing groceries in here, drugs, all kind of shit. Now, Benwah, you have the infamous quote from our last conversation about strip clubs. Do we have a new one for this one now?
No, because I wasn't thinking about it. Well, no. It's funny that you brought this up, because this is not a new thing that happened. This actually happened last year. I remember hearing about this, but I couldn't remember, and so when Mel brought it up, I had to look it up myself, because I thought this happened in Florida.
I think there is a case in Florida.
Could I be confusing this with another case?
Yeah, I think so. Because this was in
states mixed up in my research of strip clubs.
This was in Ohio.
Yeah,
but I think there is a case in
if there's
Florida.
If there's one other case in any other state, it was in fucking Florida. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry for anybody listening in Florida, but you know it was.
Hey, that's with the crazy monkeys. You remember we did that dumb
shit?
shit?
Wasn't the dude who ate the other dude's face on bath salts? Wasn't that in Florida too?
Yep,
Y'all know what y'all be doing.
That was back in 2012, though.
Yeah. But still, though, Florida has a reputation.
So this is not the first time that Florida was mentioned on our dumb shit.
God,
not even the third time. This is like the fourth or fifth time that we mentioned Florida.
Okay, just still though, I want to know, like, do they just give the strippers the bridge card and it's just like, hey, bring it back with whatever left on it? And
maybe
then, I'll be waiting here for my meth. Like, what? Like, how does that work?
You know what it was? Is there's probably a person like a cash register there. Mm-hmm. And they would give you the option for the, I don't know if you know, but cash.
There better not be no EBT card reader at the fucking strip club. That was your first sign that something shady was going on.
It's possible there is, but then again, I don't know how this exactly works in the state of Ohio.
Right.
I know that there's a cash option in Michigan. You can either get the food stamp assistance or you can get the cash assistance.
Sure.
And the cash assistance, you can actually withdraw that off the card.
Yeah.
So for this to work, I would assume that it would be like you can convert your food assistance to cash assistance.
Maybe.
And then
that'd be the only way that would make sense.
And then you can withdraw it like a debit card. Because that kind of makes sense.
Anything short of that, it's like you got to start calling the fucking like shipped people to go grocery shopping for you and all that kind of shit. Like, it's real complicated if it was just bridge card money and not like cash.
Yeah, so we're gonna assume that it is.
Well, it's called bridge card here.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called in Ohio. So we're gonna assume that they were able they were able to transfer from the food assistance to the cash assistance and then withdraw it.
See, shit like this is what people who want to get rid of food stamps and all that kind of shit, this is the shit that they gonna point to. Like, they buying pussy and drugs with these food stamps. Man, you know what, though? Sharkies? Is that what it was called?
That's what it was called, Sharkies.
Was popping, boy.
I bet it was.
Because these motherfuckers, they getting dope and ass.
They got the credit card readers in their jeans.
These motherfuckers was going ham at that strip club. It's like, but what's so funny about it is they didn't get shut down for selling drugs. They didn't get shut down for selling ass. They got shut down because they were selling food stamps.
Yep. Hey.
Now, I mean, all these things were related to it, but it was like, y'all didn't just catch them on the fucking clientele or selling dope out of there? Like, no. Once they started dabbling in that food stamp money, that's when we had to
That's because
pull the plug on it.
Sexual favors is a misconduct. Like prostitution, minor prostitution.
Oh, misdemeanor?
Is a misdemeanor.
Yeah.
Drug use can be pled down to misdemeanors.
Sure.
Food stamps is federal.
Oh, that's a felony. Wow. Well, fuck. Okay.
That's how they got him. It's like when they got Al Capone. They didn't get him for all the shit that he did. They got him for tax evasion.
Yeah.
Because it's a federal thing.
Yeah.
And so the federal government is not playing around. They said, "Fuck you, you misusing our food stamps, you out."
That is, man. Sharky's was on point, boy. God damn, man. We need to go
get an 8-ball and some pork rinds brought up to the
I wonder if it was one of them strip clubs with the buffet.
Ooh.
Like, one of them you buy it, we fry it kind of thing.
But do fathers
That's
pass
what it
their
was.
kids off to their moms at the strip club and just get a bite to eat before they leave? Like, do they get a doggy bag?
Right. Oh, man. Right.
I would not eat at a strip club.
Man.
We've already had this
Here's what it
discussion.
is. They go to the strip club because they got a liquor license, right? So they buy the vodka at the club with cash, and they use that EBT card to get the orange juice.
Yep. That's it. So I mean, this is crazy. Things that I find for dumb shit never cease to amaze me. And things that are presented to us for dumb shit, no matter the source, it's just crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. So, word to the wise is don't buy things, such as drugs or, pussy with your bridge card. That's a no-no. You're messing with the federal government. They're going to come shut you down. Mm-hmm. And, yeah. Let's stay smart, kids.
They need to steal Disneyland's tagline, "Welcome to Sharkies, the happiest place on earth."
I have done a 180 on this movie.
Really?
I am more excited for this than I think I ever would have been prior.
Okay.
This shit looked dope.
I'm
sorry, it looks dope.
I will agree with you on that. And I'm not even a Terminator fan, so...
I love the first two Terminator movies. Everything after that is shit. But this has potential. Like, that first trailer, they had that old slow, somber music, and it looked just like a generic action movie. Like, there was nothing in it that made me go like, oh, I can't wait to see when they do that thing. But there is a shot in here where fucking Arnold, like, grabs the new Terminator by the throat, slams him down,
and shoots him,
and then just starts unloading in that motherfucker's face with, like, a AK, and I was like, that shit is dope. I'm like, that... Why was that not in the first trailer? Just that. All they had to show, they could have did a 10-second clip and just showed that, and I'd be like, we going to see that shit. Mm-hmm. I'm sold. I don't need nothing else. And then they did something later in the trailer that kind of made me take a couple steps back. Because, goddamn it, man, it's like, listen, to anyone who is in California, if you are listening to this, if you are a writer, a director, a producer, an actor, if you are in films, television,
if you know any of those famous people,
any of that shit, if you are in the entertainment industry in any way, shape, or form, listen to me. As a common man, hear me out. You don't need to do callbacks to famous lines in the previous movies. There is a point where Linda Hamilton, like, blows up the new Terminator's car or whatever, and then she's like, I'll be back. And I was like, why? Like, why are you doing it?
She didn't even say it right.
I know. It was just like, y'all had me. And then it was just like, at the very last thing, right before it goes off, that's supposed to be the moment where you have that last little in the end of the trailer to make you go like, oh, I can't wait to see that.
Yeah, cut it off right as she throws the bomb and then walk away.
Think about when Civil War came out. You know, the second trailer for Civil War, you know, it was good all the way up to that point, and at the very end, they showed Spider-Man. Then it went off, and it was like, oh, I can't wait to see that shit. Your send-off should not be Linda Hamilton nonchalantly just, I'll be back, I guess. I don't fucking know. Like, whatever.
If they, like I said, if they'd have stopped it, like, 5 seconds before that.
Yeah.
Because she throws a bomb off the bridge.
Yeah, and just show her to walk away.
She starts to walk away, and then the blonde and the kid, like, duck.
Yeah.
That would have been perfect.
Yeah.
I'm with you. It's
like you didn't need the last little bit with the line. Like, if they say hasta la vista, baby, in this shit, I'm gonna be mad as hell. I already know they saying I'll be back. Maybe they'll cut it. Maybe it's just in the trailer. Maybe in the final film it'll get cut. But
And if you're gonna do the callback, at least do it right.
Yeah. Have Arnold say it. Don't have another character say it.
And he has to drag it out like he does.
Now, I will also counter my own argument with when they did it in the Avengers movies with Cap, where he would say, "I can do this all day." It had more weight to it because it was not just a line that people thought was cool.
Right.
It actually meant something to his character, and it was actually an expression of how stubborn and determined he can be, and how he's kind of stuck in his ways.
Sure.
Like he's a man out of time. He's stuck in the past. But with the I'll be back thing, I was like, no. But all the other stuff before that had me. I was with it. Like, I love the fact that they're doing something different with the Terminators, and it's not just like, and now this one can, do whatever. Like,
I like the whole split thing that it did.
Yeah, like they
cool.
took like the Terminator, like the T-800, the original Arnold Terminator, and they took the T-1000 from Terminator 2 and like put them into one, because like one's metal and one's like liquid metal, and I was like, okay, that's cool. Like, I don't know why they keep obsessing about this liquid metal shit, but I'm like, whatever. Like,
it's
maybe it's nanomachines or something. I don't know. Right, it's vibranium. Still, that was cool. The other thing that, and I feel like I'm picking on my right-wing listeners this week, but I'm sorry, but they remember how we were talking about making political statements and shit in movies? These motherfuckers are just blatantly making a statement. Now, Benwah, did you pick up on the detention center shit in the trailer?
See, you guys, I think you picked up on that, and
I honestly don't give a shit about this movie. I don't
honest.
like the fact they're, in essence, rebooting the franchise, because this is supposed to be a direct sequel from T2.
Yep.
Meaning that Terminator 3... Salvation, Genesis, the Sarah Connor means nothing.
Right.
Hollywood has lost all creativity. I have nothing more to say. There's no fucking need for this. I have no interest. All I will say, and this can be edited out and spliced at the very end, I'll take a pause break. Terminator Dark Fate is due for release on November 1st, 2019.
Okay. Well, the reason why I specifically wanted to talk about this one was because I was shocked at how blatantly they took shots at the border control detention centers. Some would call them internment camps. Others call them detention centers. I will let you decide. But there's a scene where the new Terminator, who is of Hispanic origin, he goes and he's dressed as a security guard. And at first, it just looked like it was like a prison or something like that. But then he goes in and there's like a metal detector or something like that goes off. And he was like, oh, my whole body's a weapon or something like that. Like making some kind of joke. But then they show him going in and he's like killing ICE agents. Like in like all them dudes that he's like stabbing and shit like that. That's a detention center. And they got like all the migrant people at the border like locked up in there, because the girl that he's after is also of Hispanic origin. I'm pretty sure she's
that
like,
I noticed.
the border.
That I noticed.
So they are like blatantly like going after like this whole like immigration shit. And I mean, motherfuckers gonna be mad. Like when this comes out, I can't wait to just see Twitter just blow up, because I'm like, that is all people are gonna be talking about. They ain't even gonna talk about the movie. They just gonna talk about the fact that they had we'll just call him Mexican for simplicity, a Mexican Terminator killing ICE agents in a detention center. I'm like, that shit is gonna make motherfuckers mad as hell, and I can't wait. I'm just giddy with joy. I'm like, oh, this is gonna be good. I don't know what purpose it serves besides trying to make some kind of statement, but it looked cool, and I'm sure that there's going to be some people that are going to be very appreciative of the fact that, maybe just see some retaliation against people who are separating kids from, their families. Who knows? I don't know. Like, I don't want to put words in nobody's mouth, but just saying. Other than that, though, I'm still confused on two things. One, is Arnold a Terminator in this? I would assume so, with him body slamming the other Terminator. He's got to be a Terminator.
I think he's a Terminator.
He can't be like human,
well,
right?
because Sarah tried to kill him, when she first sees him.
Right, which threw me off because I'm like, didn't y'all become cool in Terminator 2? Wasn't that the whole point of, like, he was protecting John and she had to learn how to trust him and shit? And, like, when he goes down into the lava and shit, she's, like, crying and John's crying and he does a little thumbs up shit as he goes down. It's like, I don't get...
I don't know. I'm not into the Terminator enough to actually, like, follow how it goes.
Sure.
I mean,
take it from me. They were cool by the end of 2.
I've seen bits and pieces.
Sure.
And I don't really understand the whole concept of, like, how the Terminators come to be and how their interaction with the humans. And,
sure.
Like, I don't get all that because I'm not a fan.
You want a real quick synopsis of what happened?
No, I'll be all right.
Well,
Okay,
well,
okay,
yeah,
cool.
go ahead.
All right, go ahead, Ben.
Go ahead. For anybody who may not have seen
Humans
That's true.
are
That's
doing
true.
human things. We create weapons. We create this intelligence.
Yep.
Which the intelligence becomes self-aware, and thus figures all humans are a danger to the planet, so they want to kill all humans. They develop these AI that take the form of humans, and they end up sending them back in time.
Yep.
To kill the man who ends up in the real timeline creating the rebellion that stops the AI.
Yep.
So it's
there's
time
like a big
travel.
battle, so they try to send the robot
So, like
back in time.
iRobot with time travel?
Pretty much.
Arnold
Basically.
Schwarzenegger is an AI robot from the future who was sent to the past to kill Sarah Connor because Sarah Connor's son is the one who leads the rebellion to stop the robots from doing all the bad shit.
So they figure if they kill her, then she doesn't have a son.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and so they'll never rebel. And John Connor in the future sends back Kyle Reese to protect his mother to keep the Terminator from killing him. And Kyle Reese, in turn, sleeps with his mother and he becomes his father. So the dude he sent back in time is his dad from the future.
It is a
I know,
time
it's
paradox.
confusing. Yes. Yes.
So iRobot meets Back to the Future. Got it.
Kind
In a
of, yeah,
sense.
pretty much.
And
yeah,
the Terminator, Arnold Schwarzenegger, is the antagonist in the first one. In the second one, he was reprogrammed to help protect Sarah Connor's son.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, gotcha.
So she still recognizes him as the dude that was trying to murder her from the last movie, but now he's actually on their side, and she has to struggle with
Not killing him.
letting go and
Gotcha.
trusting him
'Kay.
because he's not human and he's a machine.
I'm up to
Yes.
speed.
So yes, and by the end, he dies. He goes into a vat of lava because in order to stop Judgment Day, the future machine war, they have to erase all traces of the Terminator in the past. So the good Terminator has to kill himself so no one can use that technology to build the robots for the future that ends up doing all this shit in the first place. It's really convoluted and there's a lot of fucking weird
I'll
time
say,
travel shit
but
in it.
they went and they fucked something up because now there's the Terminator things.
Exactly.
Anyways,
So it's still happening,
Gotcha.
so it's like whatever. And so
it's like them weird X-Men movies. They tried to
Exactly.
change things and they didn't change nothing.
Well,
Exactly.
basically, all they do is never actually stop anything. They just prevent the inevitable, which has been given all these writers reason to continue making Terminator films, which, because this new one is coming out, completely nullifies the previous fucking 3.
Yep.
Gotcha.
Which
Okay.
is why I don't
cool.
want to talk about this. If you like the Terminator, watch the first 2 films. That's all you got to see.
Yeah.
Cool.
Everything else.
Okay, 3 was okay, but don't go beyond that.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
Is that Rise of the Machines? Is that 3?
Think
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, with the girl. Yeah, because she makes her boobs bigger. It's so dumb.
Yeah, with
anyway,
the female. And that was actually a big thing when it came out. That was one of the talking points. Oh, there's a female Terminator now.
Yep. mhm,
Who the fuck
yep.
cares?
Yeah, I know, right? No, my main sticking point on this is his Terminator from Terminator 2 and 1 are both dead. How is he an old Terminator in this movie now that still remembers Sarah
If he's
Connor and
a-
everything else?
If he's a robot, how did he age in the first place?
Because he explains that he's like, what does he say? He says, I'm an, organic living tissue over metal endoskeleton. So yeah, so he is living tissue over a metal body. He's like Wolverine. His
Gotcha.
bones and shit are metal, but he still has skin and flesh and blood and all
Gotcha.
that. But
Okay.
underneath, he's a machine. So
Gotcha.
yeah. So I still just need them to explain to me, okay, if this is that same Terminator, how is he not dead? How does he remember Sarah Connor if he's not that Terminator? And if he's not that Terminator, why is he old now? So, yeah, that is what I need them to fix for me. But other than that, that's the only question I got. I don't care what the new thing is. The new girl, Kyle Reese person, she's a human that's been enhanced or some shit with robot shit. I don't even care. I just want to see Arnold fuck some shit up, and I just want them to explain why he's still there.
Gotcha.
Other than that, that's all I need. And honestly, I don't think that there's going to be another Terminator movie after this. Or if it is, this will be the last one with Arnold in it. Because even Terminator Salvation, which was the Christian Bale one, they even have a cameo of Arnold in that.
Yep.
So every Terminator movie has had Arnold in it, at least to some degree. So I don't think he's going to be able to keep doing these much longer. So, I mean, after this, it's like, well, where do you go now? Like, it's kind of done. Or he's done. And, like, his old ass ain't gonna keep body slamming motherfuckers and shooting them in the face. So, I mean, unless we just CG him onto Chris Evans' body and make him be the new Terminator. No, I don't know. I was just trying to think of a dude that's kind of big. Chris Hemsworth would have been a better comparison to Arnold. Even he ain't as big as Arnold was, though. Anyway.
Now, actually, you said you think this is going to be the last film. No, there are currently talks and have been for a few years with writers to make this the jumping off point for another trilogy of Terminator films.
Oh, no, I believe it. I just think that this will be the last one that Arnold will be in. I don't think he'll keep doing it. Kind of like with Creed, that Sylvester Stallone's not supposed to be in the next one. I think this is his swan song, and they're just going to be done with him now after this. Because, like I said, how many more of these movies can he do? Like, I know he got stuntmen and all that shit, but Arnold's old as shit now. Like, he ain't... I don't know. I mean, maybe they would do.
Kick like a boss.
Yeah, I know. I saw that video. That shit was fucking hilarious. Anyway, I am the only one on this one. I'm the only one on the side of Terminator.
I mean, I'd go see it, but
well, yeah, but out of obligation, not so much like.
I'd go see it just because you were going to see it.
Yeah, but you're not going to be excited to see it, though.
Maybe not.
She's like, no. But I mean, either way, I just want some good action and some good Terminator stuff. That's all I need. Like, and,
we all just need a little good action.
Yeah, and drop all the other weird time travel-y stuff. Like, that can be more background stuff, and just stay focused on the task at hand, fucking some shit up, and
sounds good.
Killing ICE agents. All right, anyway, that is it for the show. Remember, you can always find us at our home, onegiantleapforgeeks.libsyn.com. We are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Play, or anywhere else you get your podcast. Make sure to show us some love, so go ahead and take your little fingers and hit that like, subscribe, rate, follow, review us, and all that shit.
And if you have any comments, questions, concerns, or criticisms, you just want to say hi, we do welcome highs. They're good. You can email us at officialoglfg@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter at GiantLeap4Geeks. Myself, I am on Twitter at Froggy Beaver. And Ben is on Twitter at Benwah Gaming. BenWah Gaming. The show is also on Facebook, Reddit, Instagram. I am also on Instagram trying to boost my participation there. Not really working, but maybe you can help me with that. All you have to do is search for One Giant Leap for Geeks. All you guys have to do. That's it. Simple. All right, you guys have a good night. Bye.